All right, today we are diving into an absolutely high-stakes story of strategy and survival, pulled straight from an ancient text. It's really a masterclass in how to play an impossible hand when your life is on the line. And it all starts with a man who is convinced he is completely out of time. So our story kicks off with this one thought running through our hero David's head. One of these days, I will be destroyed by the hand of Saul. You have to understand, he is the most wanted man in the entire kingdom, and he's being hunted day and night by a jealous king. This isn't just paranoia, it's his reality. And he's come to believe that if he doesn't do something drastic, his death isn't a possibility, it's an inevitability. And that really is the core question of this entire explainer, isn't it? When every logical path you can think of leads to disaster, when the whole game is rigged against you, what move is there left to make? Well, David is about to give us a pretty shocking answer. To get out of this trap, to escape what he sees as certain death, David decides to make an unbelievable opening move. He's not going to hide in another cave. He's not going to run off to some neutral country. Nope. He's going to run directly into the lion's den. That's right, his sworn enemies. He decides to seek refuge with the very same people he's famous for fighting. And not just any Philistine territory, he goes straight to King Achish of Gath. Now, if you know your history, Gath is the hometown of Goliath, the giant that David killed. I mean, this move is beyond audacious. It's so counterintuitive, it seems like pure madness. And get this, he doesn't go alone. He brings his entire loyal fighting force with him. That's 600 men, plus all of their families. So this isn't just one guy defecting. This is an entire community putting their lives, everything they have, into the hands of their mortal enemy. You just can't overstate how high the risk is here. But you know what? The crazy thing is, the initial gamble pays off. Instantly. The second King Saul hears that David has fled to the Philistines, he calls off the hunt. Just like that. In Saul's mind, David is now the enemy's problem. By running towards the danger, David actually escaped the immediate threat. But see, David isn't just thinking about surviving day to day. He's playing a much, much longer game here. So his next move isn't about hiding. It's all about positioning himself to take back control of his own destiny. Now, David's approach here is just psychologically brilliant. He goes to King Achish and basically says, "Look, I'm just a humble servant. Why should I live here in the royal city with you?" He frames it like he's not worthy, but what he's really asking for is freedom. He wants a remote base of operations somewhere far away from the king's prying eyes. And Achish, well, he completely buys it. He agrees and gives David the town of Ziklag. For the king, it's a small price to pay to keep his new, powerful ally happy. But for David, it's everything. It's the perfect isolated staging ground he needs for the next phase of his plan. And we're not talking about a short stay either. David operates out of Ziklag for 16 months. That is more than enough time to build trust, establish patterns, and just lull his new host into a complete, false sense of security. So he's got his base, he's got the king's trust, and this is where the real game begins. David starts a campaign of absolutely brilliant and ruthless deception, and he does it right under the king's nose. So while he's living in Philistine land, David and his men are going on these regular raids. But King Achish has no idea who they're really attacking. You see, these groups, the Geshurites, the Girzites, the Amalekites, they were all ancient enemies of David's own people, Israel. So he was secretly fighting Israel's battles while pretending to be their greatest enemy. This slide right here breaks down the genius of the bluff perfectly. On the left, you've got what he's actually doing, raiding Israel's enemies and, this is the crucial part, eliminating all witnesses. He leaves no one alive. This allows him to create the cover story on the right that he was actually raiding his own people in Judah. With no one left to contradict him, his lie is completely airtight. And the deception works better than he could have ever hoped. King Achish completely buys it. He thinks to himself, this guy has made his own people hate him so much, he's burned every bridge, he'll have to be my servant for life. So David has managed to convince his greatest enemy that he is his most loyal asset. But this is where the whole strategy becomes a trap. David's perfect bluff has worked a little too well. He has played his part so convincingly that he's backed himself into a corner that is completely impossible. And now, the bill is coming due. The moment David must have been dreading finally arrives. The Philistine lords call up their armies. They assemble their entire military might for a massive campaign. A major war is about to kick off. And their target? It's his own nation. The Philistines are preparing for an all-out invasion of Israel. Everything David has been secretly fighting for is now directly in the crosshairs of the very army he has sworn allegiance to. And so, King Achish, who believes David is his most loyal commander, who thinks David hates Israel just as much as he does, he turns to his trusted ally. He gives an order. And snap, the trap springs shut. David and his 600 men are officially drafted into the Philistine army. He's now being commanded to march at the front and wage war against his own people. Think about it. If he refuses, his whole deception is exposed, and he and all his men will be slaughtered. But if he accepts, he becomes a traitor to his own nation. There's no way out. Now just look at this response. It is an absolute masterpiece of ambiguity. He doesn't say yes, he doesn't say no. He just says, "Then you will see for yourself what your servant can do." It's a statement that commits him to absolutely nothing, but it sounds like an enthusiastic promise of loyalty. And of course, King Achish hears exactly what he wants to hear. He takes this completely non-committal answer as a pledge of total allegiance. And then, in a moment of supreme irony, he doubles down. He promotes David on the spot to be his personal, lifelong bodyguard. David's problem just got exponentially worse. Which really leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? David's strategy was brilliant. It saved him from Saul, and it let him weaken Israel's enemies from the inside. But by succeeding so perfectly, he completely lost control of the outcome. He gambled to survive, and now he is trapped by his own success, forced into a battle he cannot win and cannot possibly avoid. It's a fascinating reminder that sometimes, even the most masterful plan can end up creating an even bigger crisis.